Hey there, welcome back. In case you weren't following the previous video, what we did in the previous video was we just deployed our app using ECS to AWS instance. This doesn't really matter if you already have one running on an instance. It doesn't necessarily have to be done, you know, using ECS or Docker at all. As long as you have your app running on an instance, you can now use this tutorial to add a load balancer to it. Okay, so let's get started. First thing first, I'm assuming here that you have an already deployed application running on an instance. Whether it was done through ECS or not, that's really up to you. In my previous video, I showed you how to deploy your app using ECS and Docker. So here, it's just a we're just continuing that process. But at the same time, if you didn't deploy your instance or your app through ECS, that's fine as well, because here I'm going to show you how to add the load balancer manually, and then after that I'll show you how to add it using ECS. So not to worry, if you didn't use ECS, that's fine as well. It's actually easier, so I'm just going to show you that first, then I'll head over to show you how to do it through ECS. So first, we need to head over to EC2. It's actually down here, and we need to create a target group. Target group is going to be an instance type, target group name, whether target, leave the port, default VPC, and so what is health check path? So basically what it's saying is what is the address that I need to go to check if your app is running correctly. For mine is weather forecast, which returns this data. And if it does, and this does return the data, it's gonna know that, hey, my app is running correctly and everything's good. So that's why I'm going to pick weather forecast. Click next. Um, we can here create, for now, create the target group, leave everything as is. And now we need to create a load balancer. So head down here, create the load balancer. And our load balancer is going to be of type application. Name is up to you, whether LB, everything else you can leave. VPC. I'm not a big fan of 1D for some reason. It always gives me some issues, some trouble. And here, I can pick the defaults already picked, so we're good. Then down here, we just select the target group that we created, and from there, you can leave everything else and create load balancer. Now we have a load balancer running. All right, so this is here. That's the address. And if you head over to target groups, now if you want to add it manually without using ECS, or if you've deployed your app without ECS in the first place, you can follow this. So just click on register targets. Now it's important to know the port that you chose earlier on for your application. For mine, I know it's this one running, and the port I chose was 888, which is usually the default. Now below, just going to click include as pending below, and it's going to try to add it here. And once I press register pending targets, now just to let you know, this is the instance that's running my app. Okay, so you'd have to do the same. Pick the one that's running your app. All right, pick the correct port and click register pending targets. Now if all is good, it's going to take some time, and then it's going to show the health of the app and whether the load balancer is working correctly or not. Okay, cool. So it finished processing, and now it shows that it's healthy and it's running. So let's check if it's working. So it's pointing to this address here. Copy that and let's actually run it. Awesome. So now, as you can see, the load balancer is working properly, and it's as easy as that. You just added a load balancer to your application. Okay, so let's say you want to actually do this the hard way and using the ECS cluster. We can do it that way as well. So first, for the sake of demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and deregister this, okay? This is going to take some time, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip it. So draining it was taking some time, so what I did instead, I kind of rolled everything back to where it was when we just started to, when we went back to this and actually use this button to register manually. So instead of that, instead of using this button, we're going to go and head over to ECS. Okay, now head over to your cluster and we're going to create a service. Click on EC2 and this service is going to add the load balancer for you. Just need to select the family, the latest version. Um, from there, pick the cluster, service name, number of tasks 1. Everything else can leave default and click next step. This is going to be an application load balancer. If you remember earlier, uh, if you don't have these two at the bottom, that's fine. You can create a new role. Doesn't really make a difference. It's going to create these rows. Um, from here, add load balancer. It's going to be, you're going to pick the one that you created earlier, weather target. And as you can see, it gets the path here as well. Next, leave it on do not adjust and create it. It should just take a second. And once this is done, what this is going to do is going to connect your deployment to the load balancer and do everything for you. Now you can see this by taking a look over here, has started. If there are any issues, it'll indicate it here. It'll show what the issue is. Most common issues are maybe not enough resources or whatever it is. Usually there are a lot of resources online. You can, usually Google or YouTube and returns back a lot of valuable information you can always use to resolve your issues. But I think we should be okay. And if it's all good, it should get these two messages. Now we can actually check it by heading over to weather target. Let's see if it's healthy. Cool. So it's showing it's healthy. The port is correct. Did all that for us. See, before we entered this manually. Now this ECS did it for us. That's really what the difference is. And if you actually head over here and try to open and see if it's working, should be all good. Perfect. Now these are the two ways to add a load balancer to your application or deployment. The first part was just doing it manually without using ECS. The second part was doing it using ECS. Both are pretty simple, just a matter of which way you want to go, which route you like to take. Easy as that. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if there's anything you'd like me to make videos on, and have a good one.